episode of Millionaires Are Made, where we believe you can be a millionaire in all 6 aspects of health. We do episodes and share tips to improve your physical, mental, intellectual, spiritual, social, and today is going to be your financial health. We're focusing on insurance. How does insurance improve your financial health? We have 3 awesome guests here. They're going to give us a little bit of advice so that we can improve financially and use some insurance. If you've never seen Millionaires Are Made, first off, you're crazy for not checking us out. Second off, this is the show built on the fundamental belief that every person you meet knows something that you don't. And there's something to be learned from everyone in this big, beautiful world. So today we've got 3 awesome guests to teach you a little something about insurance and financial health. In the spirit of authenticity, we don't even talk about tips or advice before the show starts. So everything you hear from them is going to come from their own journey, their own life lessons, and nothing, as little as possible, bias or persuasion from me and my team. So we don't even know who our guests are until about a half hour before the show when I log into the backstage and they pop up and say hi. It's going to be an awesome show. I can't wait. Audience, if you're watching this, we love your participation. If you comment and ask questions, we will ask them live and put our guests right on the spot. So please feel free to do that. If you guests, we are always looking for more guests. And as I said before, we believe that you have something to share with us. So if you think you have a little expertise somewhere and you want to share it with us, please sign up. The link is being dropped right now. Please come be a guest. We'd love to talk to you and hear your piece of advice in a topic that you're an expert in. And if you have a topic idea, maybe you're struggling through something, maybe something's not going right, maybe you're confused, maybe you want to learn a little more, shoot us a topic. Link's being dropped right now. Let us know what's going on, and we will go find 3 guests and host an entire episode to help you get through your problem. If you like this show and you like what we do, obviously on your social media, like, share, comment, give us a little heart, subscribe, whatever it is. Please help us out so we can keep going. And if you want an even more in-depth growth coaching offer, I do offer free coaching. I have sessions every Monday and Friday. They're usually filled out 2 or 3 weeks, but you can feel free to hop on. That link's being dropped right now. We'd love to have you, and I can tell you one-on-one everything I learned. I spend all week long meeting awesome guests, so there's a lot of knowledge to share. And without further ado, we are going to bring out our first guest, one of my awesome friends and one of our sponsors as well in the past, Benjamin Terrell. Ben, tell us who you are.
Hey, Austin. Hey, everyone. My name is Ben Terrell. I am a health insurance geek, and I'm a fasting enthusiast here recently. Also the dad of 3 stepkids, 3 fosters, and 2 nephews. Our house is a rotating cast of familiar faces throughout the year. They all just kind of come and go as they please.
Just come and go as they please. That is awesome. Well, Ben, maybe you know something that could help me. If I wanted to improve my financial health with insurance, what simple tip would you give me?
Sure. Just get a health insurance policy that makes sure that when something catastrophic happens, you're paying so little of that, and the insurance company is picking up the rest. That's the main thing.
So a low deductible, is that what you're saying?
It could be a low deductible. Yeah, that definitely helps. But you want to make sure that you know what your max out of pocket is going to be for that year, so that once you hit it, you know your assets are protected from medical bankruptcy. You're not going to have to worry about, am I going to have to sell this car, sell this house to pay off the surgeon that took care of my X, Y, and Z problem. You want to make sure that you've got something that does cover you, not just up to a small point, but just everything, unlimited benefits until you're completely fixed up. It could be an illness or an accident. It doesn't matter. If something is really, really going to be expensive, you don't want to risk your assets in order to keep yourself healthy. So pay something to a health insurance company so that you're paying just that little bit up front and they're taking care of the rest. You want to make sure to protect your assets that way. And that's going to improve your financial health for a very long time.
Awesome. All right. Well, give us a little background on you. Where on your life journey did you learn this information?
I would say I've picked it up several times over the years. I watched as a guy in Nashville, Tennessee, had a little bit of a problem. He just kind of dropped to the floor when he was at work. He's in his 30s, so they took him to a local hospital there in Nashville. He ended up having an aneurysm. That's what had happened, and so he needed emergency brain surgery that day, and then spent 20 days in the ICU recovering. Right. And after that, he was sent home to finish his recovery at home for a couple of months. After 3 months, those doctor bills started rolling in, $880,000. Where would he be if it wasn't for health insurance? There's no way that he had a $880,000 savings account. So he had insurance come back in and pay everything but the first $3,000 of that surgery and that recovery. So that's when I first realized the power of health insurance. I'd seen it before in the life insurance business, but never in the health insurance business. Talk about a nearly $1 million bill being reduced to a small chunk of $3,000. Now that's something you can bite off without having to sell your car, sell your house, sell some nice things, sell the TV. You don't have to drive Uber on weekends, sell your children. That's probably not a good idea. But definitely don't want to have to either drive Uber or Lyft just to afford your health insurance bills, and your doctor bills.
Let me ask you this. So a plan like that would cover all that, what would the monthly cost be to that person? And does it qualify for the health insurance requirements in the U.S.? I know that you're based in the U.S., so we're going to speak mostly to the U.S. because U.S. health insurance and that system is different than virtually every other country on this planet. So we'll just focus on that. Sorry, global viewers. This is going to be a U.S.-based talk, at least this first part. So what would that cost per month for that kind of a plan?
So the insurance companies tell us that the average cost should be about plus a zero at the end of it. If you're 30 years old, it should be around $300. I can usually beat that. But
okay. All right. That's not bad.
Okay. Per month. Yeah. That
so should never be above like $800. So that's roughly, the most you should ever
once you get above 65, you're automatically enrolled in Medicare here in this country. And so it costs nothing because you paid into taxes for 40 years to get that benefit. At least
we'll see if that's around in 10 years. We'll see how long that sticks around. Yeah. I mean, right. We'll see. But I know my parents are both on Medicare, and I mean, sometimes the specific doctors you can use, the wait times, this and that is kind of very stressing. I mean, just like European healthcare, a lot of times if you need a surgery, it takes a while. Yeah, but
in other countries it may take a while. I do solve that problem with the private health insurance plans that I'm able to get a hold of. Most agents don't have these available, and they give you a PPO network. And what PPO stands for, really, in plain English, is pick your own doctor. You can go to any doctor you want to. It's cheaper if they're in network. Most doctors are. So you end up having to save a lot more money because you don't have to go to just their doctor and wait for them to hopefully have time to fix you before you pass away. There's not such a wait limit. If this guy over here is 3 months out, why don't you go to this guy down the street and have him take care of you instead? And if you've got one that's maybe he's in a really expensive zip code and he charges a lot more for the same surgery, but you have to get this done, go to him anyway. No wait time. That's fine. You got a PPO. You can go.
Cool. That's awesome. Awesome, Ben. Thank you so much for those tips. We're going to move on to our next guest, and we'll bring you back out in just a little bit. We have Sarah with us over here. Sarah, tell us who you are. Who are you?
I'm Sarah Lee, like Financial Cake. Financial Cake with Sarah Lee. It's easy to remember.
Financial Cake with Sarah Lee. All right.
Yes.
Anything else you want to tell us about you?
Yes, I'm a business owner, and I teach financial literacy to school-age kids, the military, the government, and in the private sector. I've been doing that for 22 years.
Have you ever written a book?
I have written. I'm a 10 times best-selling author. Yes, I've written several books.
Very
leadership,
cool.
Communication styles, and educational psychology.
All right, so let's take all your knowledge and let's boil it down to one tiny tip. If I wanted to improve my financial health, with insurance, what piece of advice would you give me?
The very first thing I would say is consider buying an IUL. An IUL stands for Indexed Universal Life Insurance, and it's a
Okay.
way to get tax-free income in the future if you like
Oh,
tax-free income.
yeah. Let's talk more about that. What is it called in plain terms?
That's what it's called, an
Okay.
IUL. That's it. That's it. It's a type of permanent life insurance that has a savings account and a life and health component.
Okay, so how does that financially help me? Only if
So
I
what you
die?
can No, so the recent way that we do this is through something called living benefits. And 7702 is part of the tax code, is the part of the tax code that allows people to take money from their policy tax free, or for insurance companies not to pay tax. So while your money's with them, you don't pay tax on it. And if you die with the policy in force, it stays tax free. The savings account portion can grow safely in an IUL. Average is about 7% in any A-rated company. And you're able then to control to some degree how much money you have in the future and your taxes when you take the money out. In addition, by the way, I'm going to go off of the last gentleman's talk, is you can put living benefits on, and which is a type of medical insurance. And if you needed that medical copay, you can take 80% of the face of the insurance for that medical copay. And so that would be the other place you would get that money. Not
Man,
just not just in medical insurance. Yeah.
how do you set one of these up?
If you're in the United States or Puerto Rico or Canada, for example, those they're readily available through any insurance agent. The problem is that you want to get a really good insurance agent because it's specialized. They're custom plans that
Okay.
I basically take your input. I put some numbers together and give you some examples, but I can design the policy in 50 different ways. So you want someone who's accomplished at this so that they can understand what exactly you need and what you want out of it, and it performs correctly. So when you hear people that say, "Oh, this doesn't work," or "It has isn't been good for me," it's usually because the agent was inexperienced.
So I definitely wanted to bring up infinite banking. How different is an IUL versus infinite banking? We're getting kind of
That's
nuanced
how
here.
you get to infinite banking. That's
Good.
the tool that's used to create that. Yes. So if you want to
Yes.
become your own bank, this is exactly how you do it.
So for people just watching, let's see if I can explain it properly. Sarah's probably going to correct a couple things. Infinite banking, you pull out like $1 million life insurance policy on yourself, and while it's going and you're paying monthly, like $300 or something like that, depending on whatever it is, you are also kind of able to pull money out of there once you build up enough of the reserves, right? And then you can use that as a loan to yourself and use that to invest in other projects. Tell me if that
Yeah,
works, Sarah.
that's basically the gist of it, except for your numbers are, no offense, pretty far off. So that's how people
What?
get screwed up. By the way, that's how they get screwed up because they think that's how it works. And what happens is if you're paying $300 a month into a policy, you'll probably never have enough money to pull
Okay,
any
okay,
money. So
okay.
you really, and so there's a floor and a cap on the
Mhm.
performance of the funds. There's also a floor and a cap on how much money you can put in. So
Okay.
you might want to put in 2,000 a month, not 300, if you want to
Yeah.
take money out,
So two
because the
thousand a month.
cost,
How big of a policy would that be for you, or is it still the $1 million policy? You're just paying more than required.
it depends on your age. So it
Okay.
it it depends on your age. Meaning, I'm not going to ask exactly how old you are, but let's pretend that you were a 45-year-old man and and you
45.
wanted to
Oh,
do that. I'm just saying, let's pretend a 45-year-old man and they wanted to put in $1,000 or $2,000 a month. That would probably be close to proper funding for $1 million, give or take.
and
And you
then
can take 80%. Yeah.
so you're putting in 1,000 a month. At what point can you start taking it out, and how does that loan process work? And if you don't know this, taking a loan against your asset is going to be tax free because you're not actually selling and receiving that money. It's kind of how billionaires stay rich. Like you can do a stock portfolio, you can do a cash out refi in your house. Whenever you build an asset, you can take a loan against it, use that to reinvest instead of selling it, paying taxes on it, and doing it. So it's kind of the same theory here with life insurance is you build this $1 million asset, which is going to be your life insurance policy, and then you pull out a loan against that. So tell us more about, essentially how that's going to work and percentages where the costs are of that loan to yourself.
So it depends on the insurance company. You have to, not you have to, they have to charge interest by law, but they can credit the interest back. So a good policy for this would charge you about 0.25% interest net, which is a quarter of a percent. And how that process works is you fill out a form, and usually within a week you have your cash. It's not a big process because it's your money. So it's literally filling out a form. The form gets processed. There's no underwriting. No one checks your credit.
Right.
That's the other reason why it's awesome, is that people who have a lot of money, like if, let's say, you're a real estate developer or somebody else, you have a lot of cash at once. And then later you don't have a lot of cash and you need the money and maybe you don't have great credit at that moment. You can actually take that money out and there's no credit check. So it's another reason people like that.
So many benefits to universal banking. I mean, it's awesome. Or infinite banking, sorry. It's awesome. You go talk to Sarah more. Feel free to reach out to me. I do this as well with my own self. But it's a really cool way to build an asset, take loans out, not pay taxes, and be able to loan yourself money with $1 million backing. It's freaking cool. Thank you so much, Sarah, for bringing that up, because I was going to bring it up at the end of the episode. And now that we've talked about infinite banking, we can talk more about it. And if you are curious about infinite banking and how you can spend $1,000 a month and build yourself a giant, big pool of money to loan to yourself with no underwriting, reach out to Sarah. You can reach out to me, and I'll probably just point you to Sarah. Sarah, thank you so much. We're going to move on to our next guest, and we'll bring you back out in the round robin.
Thank you, Austin.
Awesome. So glad insurance brought up infinite banking. It's so cool. Next up, we have David. David, with the awesome background. Who are you?
Hey, so I am David Chuddick, and my phone just rang, which is crazy. But anyway, so let me hit ignore there. So I'm David Chuddick. I'm a dad. I have twin 17-year-olds. I have a 21-year-old. So anybody who ever complains that they're busy when they have one kid gets no sympathy from me. This hit my 25th wedding anniversary. So if you don't believe in miracles, the fact that anybody can stay married to me for 25 years is a tremendous miracle. And I'm also a podcaster. I host the Weekly Wealth podcast, and I'm a financial advisor. So yeah, and I think money is just such a tool that can help us all to have great lives, or it can actually, how we handle our money can give us negative lives.
Very true. Very true. Real quick, audience, there's a lot of you out there. Ask questions. There's going to be a lot of questions, and I know it. We'll start lining up for the round robin. Let's go over David. David, if I wanted to improve my financial health with insurance, what tiny piece of information would you give me?
So this is philosophical more than like buy this type of a product but understand that at its core, insurance simply protects your money. Nothing more, nothing less. So let's say that in the United States, you are driving a vehicle and you hit me. You're maybe texting and driving. You run a stop sign. You hit me, my wife, and my 3 kids. And now there's a $5 million medical bill. Either you are paying for our bills or your insurance company is paying for our bills, or some combination. So who would you rather pay for our bills, you or your insurance? So once you've developed and built some wealth, holistically, you need to think about insurance as a way of protecting your money. Now, in the United States last week and early this week, there were some huge market declines, right? I mean, the Dow was down 1,000 points and people are stressing that, hey, I lost this amount of money. And I'm not saying not to be stressed about that. And I am saying to be very purposeful with how you invest your money. And that's part of what I do. But the same people that are worried about their $1 million account turned into, I don't know, $980,000 that day, they're also driving around with $25,000 worth of car insurance, and then they run a stop sign and hit you, and now that $1 million is going to go to your medical bills because they didn't have the right types of insurances.
Interesting. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So there are a lot of ways that we can look at protecting our money. Okay. So again, I like to focus with clients and listeners on like what can I personally do to protect my money and to grow my financial health. Um, I can't help personally what, let's say, Microsoft is doing. If they're going to pay a dividend or not, they don't call me and say, "Hey, you think we should build a new plant or you think we should come out with a new product?" They don't do that, right? But I can personally meet with my financial advisor, meet with my insurance agent and say, "Hey, where are my exposures? Where is a place where if something unfortunate happened, I potentially could be at risk? How can I fill that risk? And what will it cost me to fill that risk?" And if I do those things, then I'm taking care of the things that I can handle, as opposed to, let's say, God forbid, the terrorist attack Wall Street. Yeah, I can't stop that. I mean, my portfolio is probably going to go down. So I'm really big, or even things like COVID, right? I mean, they created, I didn't create COVID, but it created some issues in my life, interest rates and everything else. So we want to deal with the things that we can directly handle, and risk management is one of them. So just from like a 50,000 foot level, look at your insurance as one of the most important financial tools that you have. And it's not sexy. Everybody wants to know, I meet somebody, I say, "Hey," they ask me, "What do you do for a living?" "I'm a financial advisor." "Oh, hey, should I buy Nvidia? I don't know, but if you were my client, we would look at everything, including your insurance, and making sure that your insurance is right. And then, if buying Nvidia or any specific stock makes sense as part of your financial plan, we'd do that as well.
That's awesome. Great advice, David. Great advice.
Mhm.
Let's go ahead and bring everyone out and let's start talking about each other's tips. This will be fun, right? Let's start off with Ben. Can you super quickly refresh what your tip was for us?
Sure. Get an insurance plan that makes sure that you're covering just the very small part of your bill, and the insurance company is picking up the rest.
All right. Sarah, what are your thoughts on that tip?
I like I said, if you pair an IUL with Ben's tip, then now you have the $800,000 for the copay that you didn't necessarily have because you didn't save $800,000, right? You can take
Yeah,
80%, by
absolutely.
the way, you can take 80% of the face value of an IUL for medical if you have critical and terminal illness on it.
That's pretty
Yes.
cool, pretty impressive. We have a question from the audience we're going to pop up here. How do you determine the amount of life insurance you need? I'll let you guys go ahead and do that.
That's actually super easy. Can I go first?
Of course.
There's something called the DIME method, and that's the easiest way to do that. You can actually look that up online. There's something called lifehappens.org where you can actually find a DIME calculator. But DIME is basically your debt, your income, your mortgage, and education for your family. So that's the easiest way to do a rough calculation. You can do that at home.
Can I jump in on that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So I deal very holistically, and one of the things that I've always said with life insurance or any other type of insurance is take away the word need, because you don't need life insurance. Nobody's forcing you to get it. But if you were to die today, how much money would you want for your family to have? Because they don't need any. I mean, they could live off of $10 an hour potentially, but what would you want your family to live off of? And that could be a much different number than like what the typical risk management software tells you. So I changed the wording of that. I have a client right now, and she's widow. The life insurance money has made such a difference between where her life could have been and not. So how much would you want to have, I think, is just maybe a different way of thinking about it. And then of course you do the calculations with a professional or with a tool, but substitute the word want for need, and see where that gets you mentally.
That's
Very good
perfect.
idea. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that. Oh, one thing Sarah brought up that I really like was the critical illness insurance. It's a life insurance product that's usually included for all the health insurance products that I sell. And one of the things it does is it allows the life insurance to pay out when you're diagnosed with a critical illness instead of after you pass away. Some folks
Great.
use that to, pay their bills, keep the light on, keep the lights on, pay the rent or the mortgage, put food on the table, or, in some cases you get really bad news and they use that extra money to finish their bucket list. So I want to thank Sarah for bringing that up.
I completely agree, Ben.
That is awesome. All right, great. Let's go over it. David, can you quickly refresh what your tip was?
My tip was this was like a holistic tip. It wasn't like specifically about any one type of a policy, but it was to understand that insurance from a fundamental standpoint, all it does is protect your money. So like what we were just talking about, the critical illness. So if you're diagnosed with critical illness, there's a lot of expenses coming, right? So who's going to pay for them? Is it going to be out of your pocket? Is it going to be out of your IUL policy, or is it going to be from a critical illness policy? So, and there's no right answer. I mean, there are some types of insurances that maybe you want to self-insure. So as an example, where I live, I do not have flood insurance. So I know it's a very low risk, very low chance that my house will ever get flooded. So I am purposely choosing to self-insure for flood insurance. Now, I know that right now there's a hurricane and all that, and a lot of people are going to be very thankful that they had flood insurance. But as the nature of insurance, because of where they live, they're more likely to use it. That's why they need it. So their flood insurance is protecting their money. So now that their home's flooded, the insurance is going to pay for to have their home redone as opposed to their own bank account. So it's the same thing. That concept works for life insurance, for disability, for critical illness, for all of your property and casualty. If your home burns down, do you want to pay for a new home, or do you want the insurance company? If I run into you because I'm texting and driving, do I want to pay for your injuries, or do I want my insurance company? So it's just a concept of looking at insurance as an important financial planning tool that simply protects your money.
I love it. Thank you, David. All right, we've got 2 quick questions and we're going to wrap up this episode. So let's answer these quickly. The first one we have is, I'm a disabled person. How does disability insurance provide income protection?
Again, boys, should I go first?
Oh, absolutely. I wanted to hear from you first about this. I don't sell disability insurance, and so I've got short-term accident disability only. So if you are accidentally injured, of course, it'll pay for about 12 months, about $1,500 a month. That just makes sure that your insurance never lapses. And so that's what I sell. But it's something that I would love to hear more about from the other two.
Disability income policies, there's 2 important things about them specifically. One is that, do you have a policy that covers your own occupation? Or do you have a policy, which is more common, that covers any occupation? The big issue, if you're actually shopping for disability insurance, is to cover your own occupation, which means if you're a podcaster and that's how you make your money, if you can't podcast, you get paid, right? When I say you get paid roughly 70% of what your current income would be if the policy is set up correctly. So how the disability income works is just that way. You figure out based off tax returns how much money you are claiming, and then you can insure roughly 70% of that normally. But if you have any occupation, which is how most health insurance works, if you can work at McDonald's, then you have to work or you don't get your benefit. That's the thing I think that always screws people up with disability insurance. So,
all right, we've got one last question we're going to answer quickly. It is going to be, what is umbrella insurance?
Can I take that one, please?
Yeah.
It's all yours. Let's answer it, and then we got to do a daily challenge.
There we go. So in addition to being a financial advisor, I own a property casualty insurance agency. So this is in my wheelhouse. An umbrella insurance policy simply gives you $1 million or $2 million or $5 million or $10 million, whatever the policy limits are of coverage over and above the underlying policy. So if you have, let's say, $300,000 of liability coverage on your auto insurance, you run into someone and does $1.5 million worth of damage. Well, your $300,000 is all that your car insurance is going to pay. Then you're on the hook for the rest, unless you have an umbrella insurance policy. Umbrella insurance policies are something that I almost insist almost use violence that my clients carry it. And typically it's like the literally cheapest cost per dollar of insurance that you can have. So if you have any assets at all and you don't have an umbrella policy, you need one. Yeah, so umbrella is really important. Go to your property and casualty insurance agent, ask about it, and it's super important.
Love
Awesome.
that.
All right, guys, we have to come up with a daily challenge. So we have to come up with something we can do every day. Takes less than 5 minutes, costs $0, and helps us improve our financial health with insurance. What do you guys think for that daily challenge?
Just redirect some of your money into a savings account is one of the things I first thought of. It's taking the money that you already would have spent at Starbucks and saving it for a rainy day. Rainy day fund has been around forever, and that's usually what I go by.
Okay.
I actually love the same general thought, but I'm going to take it a little step further, and I would say a budget challenge. Track your spending. Actually take 3 months of your statements. You can do this for free. Figure out what you spend money on. Most people have never sat down and actually figured out how to create a spending plan or where their money is going before they make it. And it helps people organize their finances and pay yourself first, right? So I would say in 5 minutes or less, you can check, are you on track with your budget for the month or you're not, right? And anyone can do this. If not, you can call me and I will give you an app and teach you how to do this for free.
Nice. Love it.
There you go. Just go follow Sarah and DM her, flood her DMs. All right, I'm going to suggest one since we are focusing on insurance.
Yes.
What if the main types of insurance, right? Health, life, car, home. What if every day we go out and get a new quote on one of our insurances to see if we can start saving some money or do something else? So maybe tomorrow we go and call our car insurance and we see if we can get it. All we have to do is get a quote, and insurance agents will give quotes all day for free. It should take less than 5 minutes. Maybe it's a little stickler on some things.
Yeah.
But car insurance can take 30 seconds on esurance.com. House insurance, you just give them the address. Life insurance, maybe you have to call Sarah and be like, yo, I want this, this, and this. Might take a little longer. If you want health insurance, you might take a little longer with Ben. But, I think that getting a quote makes you start thinking about it. If we do that every day for a week, I think that would be a pretty cool way to start learning. And insurance is expensive. If you're doing health insurance, car insurance, auto insurance every month, that's probably 30%, 20 to 30% of your monthly income, right? So I think it's a good idea to learn.
Yeah, good insurance ain't cheap, and cheap insurance ain't good, as they say.
So you can, tomorrow will be easy. You can call one of these three. The first 3 days will be easy. We got 3 of them here. Give them a call, get a quote.
Yeah.
But I think that's a challenge. It should take less than 5 minutes, to at least send off your info. But you can do car one day, you can do house the next day, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Everyone good with that on a daily challenge?
Yeah.
Get
David,
a new insurance.
do you have a great tip for us?
I think we're frozen.
Oh, David. Oh, it looks like David's got a frozen screen right now.
I think I'm back.
Okay.
Yep. I think I'm back.
What's
Awesome,
a good tip
guys.
you got for us, David?
Say that again.
Do you have a free tip for us? Something you would do in 5 minutes or less that's free.
Yeah. So think about, again, I'm going to be conceptual today. Think about, spend a minute or two thinking about where can I be sued? Okay. So think about if I'm coming to your home, and you're mopping the floor, maybe you need to, tell me to wait outside. If you own a business, are your premises safe? Are you, none of us ever text and drive, right? So are you ever texting and driving? Are you speeding? And then, think about where you have exposures, and then think about, can you eliminate the exposure by like not doing that thing anymore? So you can eliminate drunk driving exposure by not drinking and driving, right? But some exposures you can't eliminate, but you can reduce, or you can transfer the risk, which means having the insurance company cover it. So think about risk and where you could be financially liable for something big that can make you homeless, and then figure out, talk with a professional on how you can either transfer that risk, you can cover the risk partially, or you can eliminate the risk. So like you can eliminate flooding risk by not living at the beach. Now that may or may
Right.
not be something you're willing to do, but you got to look at these things, because again, my job is to help my clients to accumulate, protect, and preserve assets. So yeah, everybody wants to talk about the sexy part of, what do I invest? Do I buy crypto? Do I buy this? How do I grow my money? But you also got to think about protecting your money, and that's really important.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Well, we have done our job. We have our daily challenge ready to go. Every day we're going to get a new quote for a new type of insurance. So hopefully it can save you some money. Hopefully you can learn a little bit. Hopefully you can learn what your insurance is covering, because maybe it's not doing what you want. The first 3 days are easy. You can easily call one of these 3 guests here and go get a quote from one of them. The next 4 days you'll have to work on your own. If you have any questions, feel free to send us a DM or send any of them. We don't have any car insurance agents, I think, on here, but those are pretty easy. If you need help, do it. I'll be posting my challenge every day and tagging these 3 as well. So want to say big thank you to our guests. We're going to put you guys backstage real quick. And right before we end, want to do a quick shout out to our sponsors for this episode. So thank you so much. We have Sam Westfall, Army veteran with 35 years of shooting experience. He founded Archery in Motion. So if you're interested, especially with the Olympics and all the shooting and the Turkish guy that doesn't have any equipment, go check out Sam. He'll help you with that as well. This link's being dropped right now. Next up, our awesome sponsor, Krista Ford. She's a great athlete with 40 plus years in powerlifting and bobsledding, decorated medalist, and the first Black female bobsledder. Super awesome. Go check her out if you're interested in any sort of fitness as well. And we've got Don Gleason, who has 42 years in military and corporate roles. He empowers businesses to achieve new heights through enhanced leadership in communication, sales, and retention. Go check him out right now if you're looking to achieve new heights. And last but not least is Jen Gray, host of the Be Genuine with Jen podcast. You should go check it out. It's an awesome podcast. Licensed life and health agent dedicated to helping small businesses and entrepreneurs thrive. Go check her out. And without further ado, we have our awesome daily challenge of getting a new insurance quote for a new insurance that you use. And I hope that you guys had a great